Praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. These are the nearly forgotten words of Francis Scott Key, the American lawyer who penned the poem that became our national anthem. Today, just like in the time of Francis Scott Key, our nation is deeply threatened. But before we discuss the threats that face our nation, we must first establish what it means to be a nation. A nation, as defined by the Oxford Dictionary, is a large body of people, united by common descent, history, culture, or language, inhabiting a particular country or territory. Both legal and illegal immigration pose a threat to this nation. Today we're going to address the bipartisan culpability for mass immigration, the cultural and environmental costs of mass immigration, and what we as college students can do to impact the situation. We must establish that this is not a Republican or Democrat issue. I'm not going to appeal to your sensibilities as a conservative or as a liberal, but rather as an American. This is an issue not between Republicans and Democrats, but between nationalists and globalists. Republicans claim to support legal immigration, but they don't take into account the negative effects of legal immigration. They're fine with the erasure of American culture so long as it happens legally in order to benefit their big business donor class that wants cheap labor. On the other hand, Democrats claim to support the environment and fight against climate change, yet they usher in wave after wave of mass immigration and turn a blind eye to the environmental destruction and degradation caused by their varying policies. Both parties are fundamentally globalistic. They prioritize their own wealth and power over the well-being of America and her people. Now let us examine the social and cultural costs that are levied upon us by policymakers and party leaders. Immigration threatens to degrade social cohesion and the American identity. According to a study by Robert Putnam, a Harvard political science professor, rapid demographic shifts due to immigration have caused a breakdown of social cohesion in areas that are affected by it. Now, this lack of social cohesion has manifested itself in several ways. For starters, people spend less time outside, out of their house. They spend more time indoors, they have less friends, they go to church less often, they volunteer less, and they donate to charities less. Overall, perhaps most strikingly, they're less happy. Another issue that arises from mass immigration is the formation of ethnic enclaves. Now, one of the most prominent and infamous examples of an ethnic enclave within the United States is Dearborn, Michigan. Now, Dearborn, Michigan is a highly Islamic area, and this led to a conflict in 2010 when Christian street preachers went to Dearborn, Michigan. They were greeted by people who chanted Allahu Akbar, and they threw bricks and bottles at these people. Now, this issue was not just something that was an issue because of the residents of their conduct, but also because of the situation and proclivities of the government there. The Dearborn police arrested not the people throwing the bricks or the bottles, but the people who were preaching and exercising their First Amendment right. Thankfully, the American Freedom Law Center stepped in and advocated for these street preachers successfully in court. Another example of a city with ethnic enclaves is my hometown of San Jose, California. Now, San Jose, California, we had a Trump rally, and the Trump rally became violent. According to The Hill, protesters at this Trump rally waved Mexican flags while burning American flags. Later on, peaceful Trump supporters got hit with eggs, and in some cases, bricks and bottles as well, and were chased down even with the parking garages. Mass immigration also threatens the American identity. According to a staff report from an Oklahoma news agency, Nancy Pelosi said that if we were to give illegal immigrants amnesty, it would make America more American. This hollows out our conception of what it means to be American. It attaches from it any sense of heritage, history, values, or ideals, and brings it down to nothing more than a hollow civic legal construct. I can trace my ancestry back into this country till at least 1831. I believe it might go farther back. And there are many in this room that probably have blood that goes back here to the Revolutionary War or even before. It is foolish at best and insulting at worst to say that we need to bring in foreign peoples so they can teach you what it means to be an American. Now, immigrants also oftentimes bring in identities that oppose the American identity. This mural is an example of this and shows an Aztec warrior killing our president. Now, La Raza is a network of Hispanic organizations, and this is a piece of one of their propagandas. Now, La Raza translated means the race, and they have a motto. Their motto is, for those within the race, everything. For those outside of the race, nothing. Now, this is not a fringe group. They are well established and politically connected with chapters throughout the American Southwest, from middle schools, high schools, and colleges. And their overall aim is to claim the southwestern portion of the United States for Mexico through mass immigration and through revolution. They have had members that include one of the former candidates for the governor of California, as well as one of the former mayors of Los Angeles. Now, to show you just how radical this group is, we will turn to a historical example that is very close to home. In 1972, the Brown Berets, which is a subset of the group La Raza, the Brown Berets, I have had the pleasure of encountering them through at multiple protests that I have been to, and they tried to claim Catalina Island for Mexico. This, of course, is according to the LA Times. The tension caused by illegal immigration is exemplified again, or by immigration as a whole, mass immigration, is exemplified again in my home city of San Jose. Now, the immigrant lobby in San Jose rejected the city government's attempts to build a statue of an Irishman who was the first man to raise an American flag over our city. Instead, they demanded that we build this $500,000 statue of an Aztec god. Meanwhile, they demanded, successfully, unfortunately, that our statue of Christopher Columbus be taken down. This is according to the Mercury News. Now, mass immigration does not and will not ever result in a beautiful melting pot America in which we all live side by side in perfect respect and harmony, singing Kumbaya around a campfire. This is a fool's errand, and a dangerous one at that. Mass immigration, rather, leads to a society that hurts both immigrants and the native population. And it will result in a society in which competing cultures vie for power. And it will result in a society in which our American identity and way of life is discarded, disrespected, and ultimately dispossessed. Now, the realm of the consequences of mass immigration are not limited just to the social and cultural sphere, but also to our environment. Immigration causes unsustainable population growth. Now, according to Pew Research, 88% of population growth from 2015 to 2065 will be due to immigration. And according to the Federation for Immigration Reform, between 1973 and 2007, there's been a 44.7% increase in residential energy use. And this was completely fueled by population growth. Now, immigrant-driven population growth is also specifically detrimental because, according to the American Federation for Immigration, this population growth is centered in highly dense urban areas, and this results in urban sprawl. Urban sprawl, what it does is it encroaches on land that we could be using for either for wildlife habitats or for farming and agricultural production. It is clear that mass immigration threatens America's cultural identity and our natural resources. But what can kids like us, college kids, what can we realistically do? Allow me to offer some specific policy actions as well as some more general but long-term aims that we could shoot for. Now, the first one might be a little bit funny at first, but bear with me because it has a great deal of importance. The first thing that we can do is we can donate to Trump's wall. So there is a GoFundMe online, and right now it's raised a great deal of money, and it's still raising money. And they have been in contact, the organizers of this have been in contact with the federal government, and they have ensured that every single dollar that is being put in this GoFundMe will go towards the wall. Now, another less tangible but just as important action that we can take is we can join local groups, be it the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, or any other form of advocacy group, and we can hold our leaders accountable. Right now, it is clear that our leaders are more interested in their own power and their own status rather than the well-being of the American people. We need to remind ourselves that we put these people in office and in positions of power not so that they can empower themselves, but so they can serve us. We must advocate for our nation. If we do nothing, mass immigration will destroy our nation both culturally and environmentally. If we do nothing, our kids and our grandchildren will grow up in a divided country rather, in which our culture, our identity, our way of life have been discarded and replaced, and where our environment, natural beauty, and natural resources have been stripped. It is up to us to protect our identity, so that our children may too one day proclaim, praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation.